Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Friends, on behalf of Param Vedanta, welcome to the 54th session of GIFT, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. We continue with the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. To be able to see God's manifestation in everything is a stepping stone on our spiritual journey. This will help expand and purify our mind. Arjuna wants to know the list of glorious, attractive, beautiful things in the creation, as it is easier to see God in attractive things. Our moderator for the day is Dr. Komal. Our pranams to him and to today's speakers, Dr. Vikram Kekatpure, to Dr. Sanjay Malhotra, Kumari Viksha, Sri Vishwanathji, and Dr. Chandrakala. Over to you, Dr. Komal.
Sadashiva-samarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. We are seeing chapter 10, the Vibhuti Yoga. Now we have come to the part where Arjuna is wonderstruck by the various manifestations of Lord Krishna, of the God, and then he wants to know more. Oh Krishna, tell me again about your power and manifestation in detail, because there is no satisfaction, no satiety for me who is listening to your words. So this is the last verse we saw. So now we have to understand his position. So now this is the interaction happening in the battlefield, and then he is confused, and now he has gotten the idea of God, of Lord, and he is seeing that Lord in Lord Krishna. And when Krishna is explaining to him, he is perplexed by the various manifestations and he wants to know more. This is a question asked by Arjuna. Now, what does the Lord reply? He says, Arjuna, I will tell you the main divine glories of mine because there's no limit to my manifestation. As we know, when we see the God in the world and God as the world, there's no limit because everything our eyes, our senses can concentrate on, focus on, everything is a manifestation of God. There's no end, even though we get attracted by whatever is attractive, whatever pleases our senses. It's not just that. Every animate and inanimate thing, every thought, every perception, each and everything is a manifestation of the Lord, which eventually at present we are keeping it as Lord. And as we go to the third Shatakam, we'll see that is nothing but our own manifestation. So these are the stepping stones to reach our self-realization. So we have to understand the position of Krishna, who is teacher here, and nudging his student Arjuna and the Arjunas in us who are going through the teachings of Krishna through Gita. In a proper way, in a methodical way, he is taking towards that goal of self-realization. Because we can't take all the steps at once, he has to take step by step. Initially, he will be nudging Arjuna to see that Lord as a manifestation of Sri Krishna himself in everything around what we can see in the world. So that is the gist. And because Arjuna is asking to have some good examples for which he can keep it as alambanam so that he can keep remembering the Lord always. So Krishna says, because there is no limit to my manifestation, I will give you the just main divine glories, the important ones, so that those can be symbolically representing the Lord in our day-to-day lives. So this is the gist. And from now on, we'll see a list, a whole list of manifestations of the Lord. That's common objects, common things, common thoughts, common emotions, and from small to big, which is around us in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. So Sri Krishna will take us through a list, whole list, even though he can't list out the infinite, innumerate numbers. So he's taking us through important divine manifestations which are appealing and which are easy to remember, which are the best ones. This kind of seeing God in everything around us is not unique in Gita. We see this time and again in many of our poetry, in our day-to-day lives, in various ways. So this is the song by Kuvempu, Anandamaya ee jaga hridaya etake bhayamano, Suryodaya Chandrodaya Devaradaya Kano. In this he says, Ravi Vadaname Shiva Sadanavo Bari Kannadu Manno, ಶಿವನಿಲ್ಲದ ಸೌಂದರ್ಯವೇ ಶವಮುಖದ ಕಣ್ಣು. So basically here the poet is taking us to that essential chaitanya within every living being, which gives that life and that sentiency to every being. So if, for example, now we have this 3D printing, if molecule by molecule or part by part, piece by piece, if we can reconstruct a human body like a doll or like a sculpture, so can we bring life to it? Can those eyes shine with life? ಶಿವನಿಲ್ಲದ ಸೌಂದರ್ಯವೇ ಶವಮುಖದ ಕಣ್ಣು. It will be like the lusterless eyes of a cadaver, because what is absent in that is the Chaitanya. So, in the first explanation of Sri Krishna, when he is asked to enumerate, enlist his various manifestations, Krishna chooses to use Chaitanya as the first. He says that's the Nirguna Chaitanya, that he wants to take it as first. So he says, "O Arjuna, I am the self residing in the heart of all beings. I am the beginning, middle, as well as the end of all beings." Okay, so that is the Paramarthika Vibhuti, which Sri Krishna wants us to note, if possible, at this stage. That's why he enlists it as the first one, the Chaitanya. And because we are unable to grasp that Nirguna Paramarthika Vibhuti at once initially, so he will immediately take us to other Vibhutis, which are Vyavaharika Vibhutis, which are conceivable to our thought, to our imagination, because we can link it to the common objects around us. So it is that desire to see ourselves, to be one with the objects around us, to expand ourselves to include everything attractive around us, is innate in everybody. So time and again, we keep seeing outside our spiritual process also that kind of natural tendency, like how a water drop just will be waiting to move from a higher level to lower level on an inclined plane. We will be waiting to include everything attractive and to be away from everything repulsive in our day-to-day lives. As we see in this other popular song by Lenka, some of you might uh, would have listened to this. What all? This is here. The singer wants her to be everything at once, as sly as a fox, as strong as an ox, as fast as a hare, as brave as a bear. It's a nice, beautiful, catchy song. But if you can just go to the lyrics and go through that, we realize the desire, innate desire in her, in which she wants to be everything at once. If it is unnatural for our tiny weeny beings like us, human beings, to be everything at once, why that desire is there in the first place? The desire is there just because we are everything at once. So this is the underlying thought. We need to go there, we need to reach there step by step. First, consider everything around us and name it, give a name to that as the Lord, as the God, as the Vyavaharika Satya, Vyavaharika Vibhuti, God as a manifestation of everything around us. Then take to the next level where that thing, that uh, the manifestation is also, you are also a part of that manifestation. And as a whole, everything is one, everything at once. Because of the setting of Gita, which happened a millennia ago, so the examples which were taken will be of Vyavaharika Vibhutis of that time and age. It may be like horses, elephants, among the human beings, the best human being, among the cows, among the rivers, fish, sun, moon, like that. So if Krishna were to be enumerating the list because he was taking good examples around us in this 21st century, he would have chosen maybe uh, airplanes or mobiles or buildings or Mangalyaan, like that. So he would have told, among the phones, I am the iPhone, among the flights, I am Vistara, like that. I am among the cars, I am Mercedes. So like that. So this is something which we have to keep in mind, not to get involved too much into the details. There are a lot of Puranic stories which will be interesting as we go and as we are going to hear today. We have to keep it in the back of our mind, but we should know that the purpose of Sri Krishna taking us there is to just have an alambanam till we reach a stage where we are able to grasp that oneness, everything, everywhere, at once, and to give a name to that. Okay, so that's the whole purpose. So these are all Vyavaharika Vibhutis. So recently we were discussing about this Akhandakara Vritti, a thought where everything what is there, what is existing, is as one indivisible, whole, solid thing. For a moment, you can close your eyes and go through a thought experiment. Imagine that everything, animate, inanimate, whatever color, whatever shape, is engulfed into one solid whole sphere. Can't even call it a sphere because it doesn't have any boundaries. And this whole big sphere is a magnet. Imagine there is not even a polarity in that, just one whole solid thing. Just for fun, someday it decides to break itself into multitude of pieces. It shatters into multitude of pieces. What happens when a magnet is broken down into multiple pieces? We can't have a control on what size each one will be, but we'll have this multiple small tiny mini magnets again, each having its own polarity, South Pole, North Pole. If you take one of it will have its attraction and repulsion to each and every objects which has been formed as a product of this shattering. Now cover each one of these tiny bits with some name, form, small, big, mountain, river, horse, ox, iPhone. When we see only the name and forms, one of these tiny magnetic pieces will have either a desire to own it, attraction, or repulsive if it is something which is undesirable because of the polarity which is natural in that. We are in that condition at present. Once we realize that akhandatvam of that entirety and consider ourselves as just one piece of magnet, and just imagine that magnetism as a principle is within us as it is in everything around us, animate, inanimate. We can link and correlate to our desire to own up something or to come out of something. Raga, dvesha becomes easily understandable. Once we just diffuse that polarity, like an electromagnet, you just switch off the power and see how everything falls back into place as one indivisible whole. It's the akhandakara, without a break. That is the state where we want to take ourselves into. And always remember as we go through this journey, though it has many interesting, useful stories which will titillate and interest us, keep in the back of our mind our ultimate journey is towards a self realization. And these are the various methods. And we are realizing, we are seeing the method used by Krishna to his student Arjuna, one of the methods. And we are going as Arjunas, going through the path in which Arjuna has gone to reach this goal of self realization. So, with this in background, otherwise, what happens is like when we get carried away by these side stories, Puranic stories, there it creates a divide within ourselves. Like, what are we doing? What was our purpose of going through this gift? Where is the inner transformation happening? So then we'll keep it as an aside note. This is different. My main life is different. My occupation is different. My profession is different. My taking care of family is different. Once we get that thought that everything is part of our journey towards self-realization, then everything will fall together in one place. So I urge you not to get carried away by these interesting stories and representations. Keep it as vibhutis, representations which Krishna is using to take us, to give Arjuna an alambana, and as such, we can also take such alambanas with our present day world. And to remember ourselves of the God, ultimate reality, till we reach there, till we reach to that akhandatvam, akhandakara vritti, where we realize everything is one indivisible whole. So this is again to show like today what would have been the alambanas which would have taken a mix of old modern and old, from elephants to skyscrapers, from kings to present day world leaders. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can have your own alambanams today. If we had asked Krishna today, he would have given a different whole list of vyavaharika uh, uh, objects as an example. Vyavaharika vibhutis. The vibhutis have not changed. Vibhutis have changed in their name and form, but they are again vyavaharika vibhutis. With this in mind, we'll go to how Sri Krishna is taking Arjuna, his student, through a whole list of very attractive and interesting vibhutis, his own forms. Over to Dr. Vikram Kekatpure to explain on verse 19. Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In first 11 verses of chapter 10, Shri Krishna talks about the unique nature of God. God is both intelligent and material cause of creation. God is creator of entire Srushti Prapancha or creation. He has knowledge and skill to create. As an intelligent cause, Lord is omniscience or sarvajñatvam and also has skill to create, therefore omnipotent, sarva shaktimatvam. Just like seed and tree, Lord exists in potential form of consciousness along with Maya Shakti before creation. Here it is referred as Yoga Shakti. At the beginning of creation, Maya Shakti gives Panchamahabhuta, which with sentient consciousness form manifest universe. Just like a potter as a creator gives shape to pottery, Lord forms entire creation. Next slide, please. Yoga here refers to the material in potential form, while the effect and the products are the manifest form, which is referred here as vibhuti or pratyaksham. For example, a spider is a creator and cause and has material, which while the web is the product. Next slide. Therefore, the natural corollary, Lord is the creator and the creation, the entire creation is born out of Lord. Therefore, everything in this universe is the manifestation of Lord or Virata Rupa. This understanding that whatever I see, experience is Ishvara is called Virata Darshana. For a Virata Bhakta, entire universe is like a temple. However, till such understanding is achieved, we use any of the vibhutis as alambanam to represent God, like Pratima, that is Lord in human form, Rama, Krishna, etc., or Pratika, like Shaligram or Linga in representative form. Anything in this universe can be symbol of bhakti, like we revere Guru Bhyo Namaha. In Vedic philosophy, even animal plants are worshipped in many of our festivals. The main reason behind this is the Virata Bhakti. The next step for Virata Bhakti in the journey is from Virata Bhakti to Nirguna Bhakti, which leads to Chitta Shuddhi and Jnana Yogyata. Verse 12 to 18, Arjuna asked an elaborate question, wanting to know glories and attractive forms of Lord in this creation. Now, in the verse 19, Sri Krishna answers. Next slide, please. Next slide. श्रीभगवानुवाच अन्तते कथिष्यामि दिव्यात्मा विभूतयः प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठ नास्त्योऽन्तविस्तारस्य मे. So let's look at the word by word meaning. Previous slide, please. Sri Krishna says Hanta. Hanta is Moolam. That is an exclamation, which means very well or okay. Sri Krishna has explained this in detail in previous chapter, but Arjuna wants to listen once again in detail, and as is mentioned in the previous verses, Arjuna has asked an elaborate question and wants to know all the manifestations of Vibhuti. Divya means glories. These can be Lord's heavenly glories, or simply it can mean worldly glories which are extraordinary. Atma Vibhutis, self glories of Lord. Sri Krishna says he will narrate the divinity of Saguna form. As Shankaracharya explains in Bhashyam, Sri Krishna is not talking about Nirguna form here, but the Saguna form. Kathiyashyami, I shall narrate those. Next slide. Kurukshe, Kurushreshta, O great one among the Kuru Vansha, na asti anta vistaryame. Sri Krishna says, there is no end to my glories. Therefore, he wants to elaborate just a few. And which are those? Pradhanyata, prominent glories. As explained in Bhashyam, wherever there are important or prominent glories, these are enumerated in subsequent verses with example, such as um, among the Vedas, I am Samaveda, or about the knowledge. In the knowledge, I am the knowledge of self or Atmajnanam, and so on and so forth. So, in summary of this verse, Sri Krishna agrees to narrate his glories, the glories of his Saguna form. However, these are infinite and therefore predominant among them, he agrees to enumerate for Arjuna's benefit. Hari Om.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In continuing with the expression about the Paraprakriti of Lord Krishna, which is being talked elsewhere, for example, in the Upanishad Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat, and the further expression of Lord Krishna himself, Mai Sarva Idam Protam Manigana Ev. Here in the 20th verse, he says, Aham Atma Gunakesha Sarvabhutashaya Sthita Ahamadishcha Madhyam Cha Bhutanama Anta evacha. O Gudakesh, O Arjuna, aham atma. I am the self. I am the self which is ashaya in all the bhutas. Sarva bhutashaya stita, residing in the hearts of all beings. Aham adi. Cha aham adi cha. I am the beginning, madhya cha, madhyam cha, middle, as well as the end, anta bhutanam, of all the beings. O Arjuna, I am the self residing in the heart of all beings. I am the beginning, middle, as well as the end of the being. Next slide, please. So, from this 20th verse, Lord Krishna starts the enumeration of Ishvara Vibhuti, which is Chaitanya Swarupam. Aham Atma. I am the very Atma, Sarvesham Bhutanam Asaye Istita. In the Moolam, Sarva Bhuta Asaya Stita. I am situated in the heart or the Gokulam of all the living beings, in the Antaha Karanam of all the living beings. Also, one another meaning of this may be this body itself can be considered the vibhuti of Lord or God or Krishna and can be meditated upon. So when you meditate upon the higher nature of Krishna, which is situated in yourself as well, which is also called as Ahangraha Upasana or the Vedantic meditation. तत्शक्तेन च उत्तरेषु भावेषु चिन्त्यः अहं चिन्तयुतं शक्यः यस्मात् अहम् एव आदिभूतानां कारणं तथा मध्यं च स्थिति अन्तः प्रलयः च. Next slide, please. The sense of I-ness, which all of us have, and that sense persists despite the body changing from childhood to now. So this sense of I-ness remains the same. And that I-ness can see the body changing, but the I-ness doesn't change. Now here there are two main vibhutis, or the glories of the Bhagavans are being talked about, which is in the Chidurupa vibhuti, which is in the verse 20th, and the Satrupa vibhuti, which is verse 39. The Chidurupa vibhuti is present in all, which is universal. That is expanded to every living or non-living beings, although here it is talking about the Chaitanya Vibhuti. Krishna addresses Arjuna as a qualified student, which is the word used for Gudakesha. Gudakesh can be somebody who has got good Kesha also, or it also means somebody who has won over the sleep. That means he has got a control over his tamoguna. It is also called a sattva guna pradhana student because Arjuna is considered to be a qualified student. Next slide, please. I'll just stop here for a moment. Can you just switch off the audio of other people? Dr. Aruna, your audio is on. Aham Adi denotes here Shrishti Karanam, Madhya Sthiti Karanam, Antaha, the end which denotes Pralaya Karanam. All together means Upadana Karanam, which was discussed by Dr. Vikram. The material universe is only the nimitta karanam, the matter principle. Of what? All the bhutanams, of all the things being, and I am the permanent one. Next slide, please. So Arjuna, look upon me as the very consciousness which is there in the minds of every living being. Sarva bhuta ashaya stita. I am the self residing in the heart of all the living beings. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all living beings. That is the meaning of this verse 20th of the chapter 1. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra. So, of very apt explanation of verse 20, which takes us to the Chit Rupa. So, Vibhuti is the spectrum. What we will be seeing today is from verse 20 to verse 39, as was mentioned by Dr. Sanjay. The first one Krishna wants us to concentrate on that Chitrupa Vibhuti, which is there in every living being, including us. And from here, there's a jump towards the Satrupa Vibhutis, that is Vyavaharika Vibhutis, which will be taken from the next verse up to the verse 39. So we'll go to those verses in sets of 5-6 verses each. To start with, from verse 21st to 26th by Kumari Viksha.
Thank you, Doctor. The 21st verse goes like, Adityanam aham Vishnuhu Jyotirsham Raviransuman Marichir Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam aham Shashi. Sri Krishna begins enumerating Ishvara's expressions in this shloka. He begins by saying that among the Adityas or the sons of Aditi, he is Vishnu. The 12 sons of Aditi were Data, Mitra, Aryama, Rudra, Varuna, Surya, Bhaga, Vivaswan, Pusha, Savita, Tvashta, and Vishnu. Vishnu also refers to the Vamana avatara. Next, Sri Krishna says that Ishvara is Ravi, the sun. Among all the bright objects in the universe, he uses the word Anshuman, meaning radiant to describe the sun. So, whenever we see the brilliance of the sun, our mind should immediately go towards the might of Ishvara that is shining through the sun. And just like Ishvara's luminosity is present in the sun during the day, it is present in the moon during the night. With these expressions in our mind, we will never be disconnected from Ishvara. In the day, we can look at the sun, it is Ishvara. When the winds blow, it is Ishvara. In the night, the moon is Ishvara. Next slide, Doctor. Verse 22 goes like, Vedanam samavedosmi, Devanam asmi vasavaha, Indriyanam manaschasmi, Bhutanam asmi chetana. Sri Krishna, elaborating on Ishvara's expression, says that Ishvara is the Sama Veda among all the Vedas. Each Veda has a unique characteristic. The Yajur Veda contains prose, the Rig Veda contains hymns, the Sama Veda contains songs, and the Atharva Veda contains enchanting songs. Of these, the Sama Veda is Ishvara's expression, indicating his preference for music. If we were to be born as a plant, animal, or human, we would undoubtedly prefer to be born as human. The key difference between a human and a plant or an animal is the capacity of intelligence that lets us think logically, display compassion towards others, plan for the future, and most importantly, pursue the path of the higher self. This wonderful intelligence is also Ishvara's expression. So, therefore, if our mind generates thoughts of compassion or service, if our intellect makes us act upon these thoughts so that we can serve others, we should remember that it is not the I in us that is causing everything to happen. It is all happening through Ishvara and his expressions. Next slide, Doctor. Rudranam Shankarashchasmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikhari Namaham. Sri Krishna goes on to describe Ishvara's expressions. He says that among the deities, Doctor, the previous slide. He says that among the deities, known as Rudras, he is Lord Shiva, the foremost among them. Rudras are deities that have been mentioned since Vedic times. They symbolically represent the vital life energies. Among the demigods known as Yakshas and Rakshasas, Ishvara is Vittesha, who is also known as Kubera. Vitta means wealth, so Kubera is considered the lord of wealth. He is worshipped during the Lakshmi Puja festival. Among the 8 Vasus, deities who represent the elemental forces, Ishvara's expression is fire because it is the greatest purifier. Next slide, Doctor. पुरोधसां च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिं सेनानीनाम् अहं स्कन्दः सरसाम् अस्मि सागरः. Further enumerating Ishvara's expressions, Sri Krishna says that Ishvara is expressed as Brihaspati, who is the foremost among the spiritual teachers and the priests of the deities. Brihaspati is described in the Puranas as the Purodha or Guru of Indra, who is the king of all the deities. He was the son of sage Angiras, one of the 7 original rishis or Sapta rishis. His counterpart in the world of the demons or asuras was sage Shuraksharaya. Next, Sri Krishna says that Ishvara is expressed through Skanda, the most powerful army commander in the world. Skanda, also known as Kartikeya, is the son of Lord Shiva. He is described as having 6 faces and 12 arms. When the army of the deities began a war to kill the Asura named Taraka, a celestial voice proclaimed that victory could be possible only if Skanda was made the army commander. With this in mind, we should be able to see Ishvara in our teachers, in military prowess, used for just means, and when we drink water. Next slide, Doctor. Maharshinam brihuraham giram asmekam aksharam yajnaninam japayajñosmi sthivaranam himalayah. Sri Krishna considers the great sage Bhrigu, the foremost among the great sages, as Ishvara's manifestation. Bhrigu is one of the 7 sages of the Sapta Rishis that were willed into existence by Lord Brahma at the beginning of creation. Next, Sri Krishna says that among all the utterances or spoken words, the word Om, made up of just one letter, is the foremost. The entire Mandukya Upanishad describes the glory of the word Om in great detail and uses Om as a method to achieve liberation. Sri Krishna says that among the immobile objects in the world, Himalayas are the most prominent manifestations of Ishvara. Next slide, Doctor. Ashwatha sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha naradaha gandharvanam chitrarataha siddhanam kapilo munihi. Elaborating upon Ishvara's expressions, Sri Krishna says that Ashwatha tree is Ishvara's expression as it is the foremost among trees. The peepal tree is, as it is more commonly known, is used to symbolically describe the human condition in the 15th chapter of Gita. In India, women traditionally worship this tree for obtaining a good husband. In general, trees are given a status of saints in India. Like saints, trees always give back more to the world than they take. We have already encountered sage Narada earlier in this chapter. Sri Krishna references the Gandharvas next. The Gandharvas are celestial beings who are accomplished singers, musicians, and dancers. Among these, he considers Chitraratha the foremost and a manifestation of Ishvara. The word Chitraratha means the one who has a wonderful chariot. In the Mahabharata, Chitraratha taught the fine arts to Arjuna and advised the Pandavas to appoint a sage to guide them. We now come to the notion of siddhis. A siddhi is a superhuman power. Most people are drawn to sages who demonstrate superhuman powers, but just because someone has superhuman powers does not necessarily mean he has achieved liberation. Sage Kapila was one of those rare individuals who not only had superhuman powers but also had achieved liberation. He is credited as the originator of the Sankhya school of philosophy. He also delivered a sermon to his mother, which is known as Kapila Gita. In the next verses, we continue to learn about the expressions of Ishvara. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Kumari Viksha, for a nice explanation of various vibhutis which are interspersed in various Puranic stories. And the Vibhutis continue from the further verses 27 to 32, be explained by Sri Vishwanath ji.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Continuing the divine manifestations, the Vibhutis of the Lord. Verse 27. Uchchaishravasam asvanam viddhi mamamritobhavam airavatam gajendranam naranam chanaradipam. I am Uchchaishravas among the horses. Uchchaishravas meaning is one of the glorious beings that came out of Samudra Mathana. I am Airavatam among the elephants. Airavatam, the white elephant, which is Indra's vehicle, was another glorious being that emerged from Samudra Mathana. Verse 28. Thank you, Doctor. Ayudanam aham vajram tenu namasmi kamaduk prajnaschasmi kandarpaha sarpanamasmi vasuki. I am Vajra among the weapons. Vajra was the special weapon of Devendra. According to the Purana story, it was made of the bone of the Dichi Maharshi, who had gained strength from severe tapas. He sacrificed his body to create this weapon so that Indra could destroy Vrittasura. I am Kamadhenu among the milk-yielding cows, meaning something which satisfies all our desires. Kamadhenu also emerged from Milky Ocean during the Samudra Mathana. The mind plus intellect is like Kamadhenu. One can get anything he wants by tapping his intellect, including moksha. I am Kandarpa, Kamadeva. I am the deity of passion. Desire is the greatest producer of things. We all have desires. Everything produced in this universe is because of our desire. I am Vasuki among the serpents. Vasuki was used to churn the Milky Ocean. He is also the ornament of Lord Shiva. Vasuki symbolizes Ahamkara, ego, which is the greatest poison that results from doership, fruits of action, and the birth and the death. Kartutvam, Karma Phalam, and Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Lord Shiva uses Vasuki as an ornament because he knows how to handle it. Through Atmajnana, one knows how to handle Ahamkara, and therefore, to him, Ahamkara becomes Alankara. Verse 29, Doctor. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yada samaham pitramayarmya maschasmi yamaha samyamatam aham. I am Ananta among the Nagas. Lord Vishnu lies in the coil of bed found by Ananta Adishesha, and hence he is called Ananta Shayana. Ananta means Nirguna Brahman. I am Varuna among water deities. Yadaha means water deity, Jala Devata. Varuna presides over the ocean. I am Aryama among Pitrdevas. Aryama is the chief Pitrloka, chief of the Pitrloka, the Loka for ancestors. The Shraddha offered to our ancestors first goes to Aryama, who then distributes to the right Pitras in the Lokas they are in. I am Yama among the controllers of things and beings. Yama is the time, the Kala Tattva. The time controls and modifies everything, including our mind. Time eventually destroys everything. That is why Yamaha is also called the god of death. Next slide, Doctor. Verse 30. प्रह्लादश्चस्मि दैत्यानां कालकलयातामहम् मृगणां च मृगेन्द्रोऽहं वैन्यत्यचश्च पक्षिणाम्. I am Prahlada among the Daityas. The Daityas means Asuras. Daityas were the sons of Diti. Kashyapa, one of the 7 great rishis, had 2 wives, Aditi and Diti. The Devas were the children of Aditi, and the Asuras or the Rakshasas were the sons of Diti. Both Deva and Asuras were born of one father, which is symbolically meaning that out of our one's mind, both positive, which is Deva Vritti, and negative, Asura Vritti, exists. Even among them, great devotee Prahalada was born. He is mentioned among the 13 great devotees mentioned in the Puranas. Prahlada, Narada, Parashara, Pandurika, Vyasa, Varisa, Sukha, Saunaka, Shaunaka, Bhishma, Rukmagada, Arjuna, Vasista, and Vibhishana are the 13 devotees mentioned in the Puranas. I am Kala, Chitragupta among one who keeps our accounts, keeping track of all the karmas as they are committed by all the living beings, which includes not just human beings, but animals as well. All karmas, big or small, must fructify at the right time. For example, a person may be sick because of papa. However, if another family member is serving him, then that person is also fructifying his punya. I am the lion among mrigam, among the animals. Every animal has a unique glory, but the lion is the king of all the animals. I am Vainateya, Garuda among the birds. Garuda is the son of Vinatha, and therefore he is called Vainateya. He is one of the greatest devotees of Lord Vishnu. Verse 31, Doctor. Pavana Pavatam. Yeah, thank you. Pavana Pavatam Asmi Ramarasha Ramashastra Aham Jasanamakarasyasmi Shrostasasmi Janavi. I am Pandava. I am Pavana, Vayu among purifiers, water, fire, etc. Wind is also a purifier. It takes away our foul smell from an object when put to dry in the wind. It is mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad that Agni is also a purifier originating from Vayu. I am Rama among one who wields weapon. All our gods have weapons. However, whoever has to protect Dharma has to wield the weapon. If non-violent methods fail, one must use violent to protect the Dharma and uphold the Dharma. The Lord uses weapons against the enemies, but how does He use them on devotees? He uses them to kill our 6 vices: the lust, anger, delusion, greed, arrogance, and jealousy. All gods are great, but Rama is the greatest weapon wielder, and he is also called Kodandapani. I am Makara among aquatic creatures. The biggest aquatic creature is Makara. It could be whale or a shark. I am Jhanavi, Ganga among the rivers. According to Vedanta, Ganga symbolizes the flow of spiritual knowledge. Brahma Vidya Pravaha, spiritual knowledge, flooding of spiritual knowledge. Verse 32, Doctor. Sarganamadirantascha madhyam chaivaham arjuna Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vada Pravadatmaham. I am beginning, the middle, and the end in the creation. Krishna says the same thing in verse 20, I think, which I think Dr. Sanjay covered. One can look at the beginning, middle, and end spatially, Bhuloka, Swargaloka, and Patala Loka, etc. And other, looking at another standpoint in the creation, sustenance, and resolution, which is Srishti, Sthiti, and Layakarana. I am Adhyatma Vidya, self knowledge. There are many fields of study, engineering, medicine, astronomy, etc., etc. Lord Krishna says that he is the self knowledge, which is superior to all forms of knowledge. All other fields of science deals with anatma, whereas Adhyatma Vidya, which is self knowledge, deals with Atma. Shri Guru Namaha. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Vishwanath ji, for the elaborate explanation of various stories behind the vibhutis which Krishna mentions. And we further go to verses 33 to 38 by Dr. Chandrakala to see some more vibhutis explained by Lord Krishna. Over to Dr. Chandrakala.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Lord Krishna continue narrating his divine glories in verse 10.33 to 10.38. In verse 10.33, next slide, sir. Next slide. I'm the letter A among alphabetic letters, which is the most fundamental sound, for which Brahmaji himself is the Adhisthana Devata. A is the Karana Aksharam. Other letters derived from it are Karya Aksharam. I am Dvandva, that is compound word, among Samasaha, and Akshaya Kalaha, inexhaustible time. I am Kala Tattvam, that which puts an end to everything, but itself does not have an end. I am Karma Paladata, who dispenses appropriate results for the appropriate action at the appropriate time, and is Vishwato Mukhaha, who has face in all 10 directions, which gives him ability to dispense the fruits of action accurately and justly. Coming to the verse 10.34, next slide, sir. Lord says, I am the death, which is the greatest among the robbers, who takes away everything from us. I am the destiny of the rise of great men. I am fame, prosperity, destiny and speech, femininity, memory, intelligence and perseverance, forgiveness, and I am the noble faculties of mind. All preceding deities are facets of the Lord only. I am the source of all future prosperity and also the destroyer of Tattva also. Coming to the verse 10.35, right. I am Bruhat Sama among all Sama mantras, which glorifies the infinite Lord, which is supposed to be very auspicious mantra. I am the Gayatri among Vedic mantras, which is the essence of Vedas. We all know repeating Gayatri mantra is equivalent to repeating the entire 3 Vedas. And Margasirsa among all months, which is December 15 to January 15 of the year. This time, prosperity and richness is found on earth, which is good for spiritual and religious activities. Among 6 seasons, I am Kusuma Akara, that means abundance of flower. Coming to verse 10.36, next slide, sir. Right. I am gambling activity among activities that will rob our discrimination power, that is cards, racing, dices, etc. I am Dyutam. I am brilliant discrimination which resists discrimination. I am Sattva Guna, that is spiritual inclination in Sattvic people. I am Vyavasayatmaka Buddhi. and victory in victorious and perseverance. Coming to verse 10.37, I am Vasudeva among descendants of Vrishnivangsha. He is best among them as he is the Avatara Purusha and worked as Brahma Vidya Acharya. I am Arjuna among Pandavas as he is the first one to receive Gita teaching. I am Vasacharya among Rishis, who also is one of the Brahma Vidya Acharya. I am Shukacharya among great seers, Kavi who perceives beyond the range of sense organs and who can see that is Shukacharya, who is the greatest among them. Coming to the verse 10.38. Next slide, sir. Yeah. I am Dandaha, that is rod of punishment, which is among the modes of discipline. I am Nitihi, that is diplomat among the victorious one. I am silence, which is the greatest among the secrets. Word Maunam represents Brahman. In silence, there is nothing but consciousness. I am wisdom in wise people, which is Bhagavan himself. We know genuine Gnani hand over namaskara to Lord because Lord is the wisdom. Further glories of God continue in the next verses as well. Hari Om, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrakala, for the explanation of other vibhutis. It's a whole spectrum of Vyavaharika vibhutis, what we saw. Some are of the age and time of the setting in which the Gita has happened. That's why there are a lot of Puranic stories incorporated here, each one interesting than the other. And it's a kind of network where one Puranic story gets assimilated to other and reminds us. So in that way, keeping them as alambanams will keep our mind occupied towards the Lord through the story and through the glory of the representation which he has given as his desired best symbol in that sphere of things. So with this, the whole lot of vibhutis have been explained. But as I mentioned earlier, that word of caution we have to keep in mind. One, not to get carried away about the nitty-gritties of the stories, its relevance in today's day and time, though there are many things which are now gradually being scientifically proven of relevance and usefulness in today, they are all the side stories and side utilities of our Puranic stories. But the theme here, when we are looking at our inner journey towards self-realization, we have to keep in mind our ultimate goal is that Akhandakara Vritti, which we just mentioned, the self-realization. And all this is a way in which we are going through the path which Krishna is taking us as he took Arjuna towards self-realization. We are going through that route to gain that self-knowledge. So with that in mind, we'll go to the next verses in the next session, where Krishna will again reiterate and summarize that I am the seed of everything in existence. That we'll see in the next session. Over to Nita. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Komal, and thank you to all the speakers. Param Vedanta appreciates its listeners. Thank you so much. Lord Krishna is showing us his important, appealing vibhutis, and in an attempt to recognize our essential oneness, the Akhanda Brahman, Bhagwanji is helping us, helping to evolve us. To appreciate the glory of God in everything and as the world is a sadhana which we need to for inner freedom and transformation. Our next session is on Mandukya Karikas on the 29th of November. It will be the 28th session where we will be doing the third session of the Alata Prakarana. We will conclude for the day. Please chant along. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavad.